you're set to standing, even if you were originally crouching or crawling. Normally this doesn't matter, since the blocks above you would just push you back to your previous state. But if the bottom of the player's hitbox is inside a block, that hitbox is locked and can't change. So if you're inside a block when you relog, you'll stay standing regardless of blocks above you. The disconnect glitch has many uses, such as getting to the nether roof with just a trapdoor. But the use I found for the disconnect glitch was puzzles. Disconnect glitching provides a simple but interesting objective. If I have a room above me, I know I need to phase through the ceiling, and how I get to that state is the puzzle. This sort of puzzle is very interesting, since it allows for a lot of logic not seen in many puzzle games, since instead of manipulating puzzle elements, you're manipulating the player's hitbox. With the disconnect glitch gauntlet, I aim to solve one of my biggest problems with Minecraft escape rooms. You see, in most escape rooms, puzzles are Minecraft mechanics. If you know the mechanic, the puzzle is easy, and if you don't know it, the puzzle is impossible. This isn't really a puzzle, it's just a quiz on your Minecraft knowledge. A puzzle shouldn't be, what do I need to know to progress? It should be, how do I use what I know to progress? If there's an obscure mechanic in a puzzle, it creates artificial difficulty. Instead of the puzzle being difficult logically, it's difficult because of a lack of information, which leads to a frustrating experience. To solve this, instead of mechanics being puzzles, mechanics should be tools that you use to solve a puzzle. Let me give you an example. Here's the first map in the disconnect glitch gauntlet, Bamboozled. The first puzzle is getting in crawl with 2 stairs. You curve one of the stairs with the other, walk under it, and break the other stair, changing the state of the stair you're under and pushing you into crawl. That's the first room, a simple introduction to stair curving mechanics. The second room is where using mechanics as tools comes into play. You have the same items, 2 stairs, but this time you need to be in crawl 1 block higher. This room is pretty tricky. You can crawl with the stairs, but from there you can't get up a block. So if you think about it, when you get in crawl, you already need to be up a block. And the only way to do that is to face into the ceiling. So by working backwards, you realize that you need to combine both mechanics you've learned. You lock the player's hitbox with the stairs, and then you relog to phase your head into the ceiling. From there, you can jump on top of the stairs and exit the room. So that's how I solved the problem of mechanics being puzzles. Instead of the puzzle being, how does the disconnect glitch work, it's how can I use the disconnect glitch to solve a problem. And while that's the biggest problem I have with escape rooms, there are a ton of other problems I addressed with the gauntlet. One such problem is hidden items. For some reason, escape rooms on YouTube love hiding items everywhere. It's become so prevalent there's even a name for the Wi-Fi's Swiss cheese, where the map makers like to hide items. I think hidden items are a remnant from real-life escape rooms, but just because escape rooms in real life do something, it doesn't mean it'll work well in Minecraft. Hiding items is obviously terrible puzzle design. The only thing hiding items does is make a puzzle more frustrating and take longer. Hidden items don't add anything to a puzzle, just artificial difficulty. So in the disconnect glitch gauntlet, I just don't hide items, pretty simple. And even better, you're allowed to use spectator mode to look around the map. You're also allowed to go in creative and test ideas. It doesn't matter how you choose to solve the puzzles. What matters is that you work through the logic and find the solutions. Another problem I have with escape rooms is being overwhelmed. There are 2 ways an escape room can be overwhelming, either with a lot of items or a lot of possible goals. With more items, you have more options, and in YouTube escape rooms, the amount of items you have can quickly build up. The more items you have, the more things you can do with them, and figuring out how to use them all optimally can be overwhelming. Another way escape rooms can be overwhelming is with complicated layouts. If you have a lot of things in a room, it can be hard to figure out the order of things. To solve both ways of being overwhelmed in the gauntlet, I just minimize my escape rooms as much as possible. I minimize the items, only keeping what's necessary, and I minimize the layouts, making the goals as clear as possible. A third problem I tried to fix with the disconnect glitch gauntlet is theming. In most escape rooms, the puzzles are just a collection of a bunch of different mechanics. There is no overall theme. The gauntlet, on the other hand, has a pretty obvious theme, disconnect glitching. Almost every puzzle in the gauntlet has something to do with disconnect glitching or manipulating the player's hitbox. Theming in a puzzle map is good because it makes the map feel more cohesive, and the puzzles can build on each other instead of just going from one mechanic to the next. The final problem I tried to fix with the gauntlet is escape rooms being easily soft-lockable. In a lot of escape rooms, if you make one mistake, you have to completely reinstall the world to try again. So to make resetting more convenient, I made a system that allows you to reset the map whenever you want. But honestly, if you make a mistake, you can just go in creative and undo it. What's important is that you solve the puzzles, not doing everything in one go. So those are my main problems with escape rooms, and how I solved them, or at least attempted to solve them, with the disconnect glitch gauntlet. Now, the gauntlet isn't perfect. Far from it. These escape rooms have a lot of flaws. There are quite a few mechanics not taught to the player, and some of the puzzles are very lackluster. And these escape rooms aren't easily accessible. You have to know how the disconnect glitch works before you can start playing them. But even though the gauntlet isn't perfect, it showed that the problems with escape rooms, the things holding Minecraft escape rooms back from being good puzzle experiences, could be dealt with. It showed that you can make good puzzles in Minecraft. But I wasn't the only one making good puzzles. There were other people like me who wanted to make good puzzles in Minecraft, so we started forming a community. We played each other's puzzles, found glitches together, and tried to make the best puzzles we could. For a while after the disconnect glitch gauntlet, I didn't make any more maps. I was working on a really big escape room, but that never got finished. And after I stopped working on that, I just ran out of ideas and motivation. The escape room community in general was becoming more and more inactive as people stopped making puzzles. But 4 months after I finished the disconnect glitch gauntlet, everything changed. Canadian released this video, showcasing some of the maps from our community. Madame Kookaburra's All You Need Is a Good Crowbar, and my disconnect glitch gauntlet. Now, this video itself isn't what changed everything, but what the video did is introduce people to good puzzles in Minecraft. New people joined the Minecraft escape room community, and 2 of these people completely revolutionized how we make escape rooms. These 2 people are Cactus and Husky, and they were from the Portal 2 puzzle making community. Now let's talk a bit about Portal community chambers, because they're basically what I want Minecraft escape rooms to be. They take the base puzzles of Portal 2 and expand on them, but not with new mechanics. No, community chambers expand on the logic of Portal 2. If the base game taught you how to use mechanics, community chambers teach you how to use logic. They aren't challenging because of new mechanics, they're challenging because of pure logical difficulty. And that's exactly what I want Minecraft escape rooms to be. I want them to be challenging because of logical difficulty, not obscure mechanics. Okay, I got a bit off topic, so let's get back to the Portal players who joined the Minecraft escape room community, Cactus and Husky. The first maps they made were pretty good. Cactus made Path of Escape, an escape room about using path blocks to upwarp yourself and phase through ceilings, while Husky made Piercing 5, an escape room about using piercing to phase arrows through blocks. Both escape rooms had interesting logic, but they had the same problem as the disconnect glitch gauntlet. The mechanics they used were obscure. Even though they had good logic, if you didn't understand the mechanic, you couldn't beat the puzzle. The reason we did this, the reason we used obscure mechanics for puzzles, is Minecraft isn't a puzzle game. The mechanics in Minecraft aren't meant to be used for puzzles. So in order to find mechanics that could be used logically, we had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. We thought the only way to make logical puzzles was with unique block interactions. But Husky didn't like this, so he set a handicap on himself. For his next escape room, Husky wouldn't use any interesting or obscure mechanics or glitches, with the only mechanics being placing, breaking, and crafting. And thus, a purely logic-based puzzle was born. This is Ratiocination, the first pure logic escape room. It kinda sucks. Ratiocination is all about block shuffling. In each room, you drop down and need to use a block to get to other rooms. As you get more blocks, you need to backtrack to swap out blocks. The premise and main moves of Ratiocination aren't bad, but for being a pure logic escape room, it has a lot of issues that make it hard to think logically. First of all, the layout is unnecessarily big. There are a ton of rooms and items, which makes it overwhelming without adding much to the main puzzles. The layout is also not very open. It's hard to see multiple rooms at once, which makes thinking about multiple rooms difficult. Ratiocination had problems, but it showed potential. So Husky fixed the issues with it, and simplified it into Requisite. And this time, it was actually decent. Like Ratiocination, Requisite is all about block swapping, but it fixes all the problems with Ratiocination. The layout is simple while still having the main move, and it's much easier to see multiple rooms at once. Requisite is a simple yet elegant puzzle that showed the potential of pure logic escape rooms. Here, let me show you the puzzle. The main goal of Requisite is to craft a wooden pickaxe to mine these stone blocks. Each room drops you down 2 blocks, so you need to leave a block behind to get up. Once you go through the rooms, you end up with 3 planks and 3 frog lights, which you can swap for 3 more planks. The problem is then you end up with 6 planks in a room, which is 1 short from being able to craft a pickaxe. No matter how you shuffle the items around, you'll always end up 1 plank short. So how do you get the final plank? The way you get the extra block is through this room. This room is unique in that it has a dropper that lets you access the room behind it without leaving a block behind. So if you shuffle 2 of the planks into this room and the one behind it, you're able to get all 7 planks in one room and craft a pickaxe. From there, you just mine the stone, craft it into slabs, and escape. Alright, we've seen what Husky's been working on, but let's see what Cactus has been making. Cactus made a save system. Without anyone asking, he just straight up made a system that lets you save an escape room whenever you want, and easily load your saves. This is amazing. It solves the problem of escape rooms being self-lockable in the best way possible. When you're playing an escape room, if you make a mistake, you can just load one of your saves. The save system also makes making escape rooms easier, since at any point when making an escape room, you can save, play through the puzzle, and then easily reset it back to its original state. So while Husky was revolutionizing the way we make escape rooms, Cactus was revolutionizing the systems we use to play escape rooms. And this inspired me, as well as a few others, to get back into making puzzles. Over the next 6 months, we made escape rooms, played each other's puzzles, and improved our puzzle design skills. Over this period, we figured out how to solve the problem of mechanics interfering with logic. We figured out how to not just make good puzzles, but great ones. This is the modern era of Minecraft escape rooms. Over this period of time, I made 19 escape rooms, so I'm going to go over these escape rooms, explaining the overall puzzle, the mechanics used, and the strengths and weaknesses in puzzle design. When I talk about these escape rooms, I'll give the difficulty for each of the maps, ranging from easy to expert. The difficulty means how hard it is for an experienced player, not a beginner. Do not underestimate the difficulty of these maps. People have spent 5 hours on easy maps. Also, try to avoid spoiling the puzzles, since you should play these maps. Please play these puzzles, that's the whole point of this video. These escape rooms are meant to be played. I'll put links to download every map tutorial in the description and pinned comment. Also, when you play these maps, if you want the save system to work, make sure you use the Minecraft version listed in the map description. Alright, let's get started. The first map I made is basically just another disconnect glitch gauntlet map, but better. The Piston Tower is a tower of rooms. In each room, you need to figure out how to use your items to click through the ceiling and get to the next room. What makes the Piston Tower better than the disconnect glitch gauntlet maps is it manages to include some logical puzzles. You see, in the gauntlet, all the puzzles are mechanical. They're about manipulating the player's hitbox with unique items, and through that they teach you how to use the disconnect glitch. Mechanical puzzles can be fun to play, but they lack the depth that good logical puzzles have. In order to have a good complex puzzle, you need to include logic, and that's what the Piston Tower attempts to do. Take this room for example. The floor has a layer of block 36, so you can't place a block on the ground. You have 2 pistons and a lever, and you need a disconnect clip through the ceiling. The crux of this puzzle is you need to be below the ceiling to disconnect clip, but with the floor full of block 36, you can't place a piston on the ground to get up. So how do you do it? I'll leave that up to you. If you truly want to understand what I mean when I talk about the difference between mechanical and logical puzzles, you need to actually play these maps. Unfortunately, the Piston Tower has the same problem as the disconnect glitch gauntlet, in that it isn't easily accessible. You not only need knowledge about the disconnect glitch, but you also have to know about inner hitboxes of blocks, and how to use them to click through 2-block thick ceilings. Let me explain. To click through a 2-block thick ceiling, you need to have a block like a daylight
Finally, a good hand.
directly below the ceiling, so that when you're standing, you just barely phase into both blocks above you. There are only a handful of blocks with the right height for this, but we can also use the inner hitboxes of blocks. There are quite a few blocks that have collision hitboxes inside them, and some of those inner hitboxes are the right height for 2-block disconnect clips. So by pushing a block into the player, you can stand on one of those inner hitboxes, and use that to phase through a 2-block thick ceiling. So those are all the mechanics needed to play the Piston Tower. The Piston Tower is a medium difficulty map. It isn't incredibly difficult either mechanically or logically, but combining both makes it pretty difficult. It takes experts about 30 minutes to beat. While I was making the Piston Tower, Husky still couldn't get the idea of a pure logic escape room out of his head. So he enlisted the help of Cactus, and together they made the biggest pure logic escape room yet. Welcome to Quintessence, a collection of 13 different puzzles based almost entirely on logic. They range from extremely simple to quite complex, and slowly work up in difficulty. These maps are mostly targeted towards beginners who have just started solving escape rooms. It teaches the basic idea of backtracking and reuse. Let me give you an example. Here's the first level of Quintessence. There are 4 rooms, one with a door, one with a frog light, one with a pot, and one with 2 pots, and an exit that takes 3 blocks of height to reach. Since there are 5 blocks and only 4 rooms, you can swap out the extra pot for a block. The door can be swapped to the end to gain 2 blocks of height, but you can't place it on a pot, so if you leave behind the door to go back, you can swap out the pot for a frog light, and use it with the door to escape. The puzzles nearing the end of Quintessence start leaning a lot more into redstone. You have to navigate your way through tricky redirection puzzles, and a few cool concepts Husky and Cactus discovered while creating this map. Not any complex redstone mechanics though, These are all logic puzzles, so they focus more on redstone management. These redstone puzzles inspired Taco to make a map about redstone management and powering iron trapdoors, and that inspired me to make copper comparison. Compared to the other logic redstone puzzles, copper comparison is less focused on redstone management and more focused on cool moves you can do with redstone. In the first room, you power a couple of droppers to get some redstone components, and then you're met with the first logical puzzle. You need to power this iron trapdoor, but there's no way to directly power it. However, by using redstone on the other side of the wall, you can make a loop, and by breaking the start of the loop, you can redirect redstone dust into the trapdoor. That's the sort of puzzle copper comparison has. No complex mechanics, just simple redirection used for cool moves. This was my first pure logic map, so some of the puzzles kinda sucked, but overall it's decent. Copper comparison is a medium difficulty map. It's a short map and takes experts about 30 minutes to beat. In my next map, I went back to mechanics. In the past, we figured out by spinning really fast, you can place a block in rotations you normally can't, and using this, you can crawl with a bed. But this is very tricky to do, so it doesn't work well in puzzles. However, recently, we figured out you can combine flick placing with F3T to rotate the player while the game is paused, and make it 100% consistent. All you need to do is look at a spot where if it's placed, you'll have the rotation you want. Have it so you can't place a block in that spot, which you can use the player's hitbox for, hold right click, plus F3 plus T, and spin around to where you want the block placed. This method makes flick placement much easier and reliable, so I decided to make puzzles using it. This is the F3T box, an escape room about teaching flick placement mechanics and combining it with disconnect clipping. It's more about teaching the mechanic than actual puzzle design, so most of the puzzles aren't the best, but it does a good job of showcasing the mechanic and its uses. The F3T box is a medium difficulty map, mostly because it has some more complex disconnect clipping in the later puzzles. It takes experts about 30 minutes to beat. Here are some short reviews. After I released the F3T box, the first ever escape room building competition happened. Husky hosted Puzzle Producing Pursuit 1, with a theme of death, demised, and deceased. You see, respawning in escape rooms is a very underutilized mechanic. It allows for very interesting player positioning, resource management, and room access logic. An example of this is one of the only good pre-modern escape rooms, Minimalist Escape Room by Kolunoa. You start on a bedrock box in the void, and need to get up to a platform 5 blocks above. There's an item frame with a button and a hole, and 4 sand blocks on the side of the box. If you could get the sand to the top, you could reach the platform. But how do you get both the sand and player to the top? That's where respawning comes in. You can place one sand on top of the box and another off of it. Then you can die to the void and respawn to be on top with the sand. You can then repeat this to get the 2 other sand blocks to the top. Now that you have all 4 sand blocks, you can build up to the platform, which has a sign that says you need to get the item frame here to win. To get the item frame, you need to drop 1 sand down to break it, and pick it up from the side, placing it in the button on top and respawning. Then you can use the button as part of the pillar, and die and respawn to reach the top with the item frame. So that's Minimalist Escape Room, a simple yet nice puzzle that showcased how respawning can be used as a puzzle mechanic. With the escape room building competition, we tried to further explore the logic and mechanics of death and respawning. With mortality, I chose to do that by combining respawning with disconnect clipping. There's a hole with 2 gates and a frog light in it, and you need to die by disconnect clipping into the frog light to respawn on top and get items out of the hole. As you get more items, you can die with different setups, getting different items out. Mortality is a short, simple map that shows some of the potential logical implications of respawning. It's an easy to medium difficulty map and takes experts about 10 minutes to beat. Mortality got 4th place in the competition, which just goes to show how good people were getting at making escape rooms. In 3rd place, we have Cremation by Taco, a puzzle about bed respawn mechanics. In 2nd place, we have Smart Ways to Die by Broken, a mechanical puzzle about phasing into solid blocks to suffocate in them. And in 1st place, we have Respite Advance by Cactus, a puzzle about getting items out of holes through respawning. Respite Advance is one of the most influential escape rooms ever made. But before we get into that, I was busy working on one of the other most influential escape rooms ever made. For a while, I'd been wanting to make an escape room around one specific mechanic. You see, when you're comparing something through a block, certain blocks don't update the comparator when removed. Despite this being a simple mechanic, trying to make a puzzle around it ended up being very difficult. Since it only works with specific blocks, the best block to use is a copper bulb. But if I do use a copper bulb, that means you need a stone pick to break it, and then you can just break whatever to be powering. So instead of a pickaxe, I tried using pistons to move the bulb instead. I also never found a good way to use this mechanic with pistons, but I did find something else. While messing around with different setups, I stumbled upon this, a neat little puzzle with no complicated mechanics, just pushing a copper bowl around. This isn't much, but the more I messed around, the more neat piston shuffling puzzles I found, so I combined them all into one room. This is shuffling, and it's awesome. Shuffling requires only basic redstone knowledge. All you need to know is you can compare through blocks and power comparators through blocks. You don't even need to know how comparators work. They're only used as a way to get power from the copper bulb, not for any complicated signal strength shenanigans. Originally, I did include the disconnect glitch, but a cheese was found that skips the disconnect glitch, and it's just more intuitive overall. As long as you know basic redstone mechanics, you can beat shuffling, but that doesn't mean it's easy. No, shuffling is one of the hardest maps I've ever made. It isn't hard because of complex mechanics, it's hard because its puzzles are logically complex. Shuffling is linear logic, which makes it unique. You see, in most pure logic escape rooms, backtracking and reuse is a defining feature. Utilizing every element in multiple ways is good, since it allows you to have complex logic without gigantic areas. To have complex logic, you need multiple elements to interact with each other, and if an element can be used in multiple ways or at multiple times, you can have a simple layout with complex logic. Thus, reuse isn't a defining feature of pure logic, it's just a result of it. Shuffling, on the other hand, doesn't have reuse. There are 7 droppers you need to power, each providing unique limitations. As you power each dropper, you get more items that help you power the next one. Shuffling has many one-use areas, but it gets away with it, because each dropper takes up so little space that everything fits in one room. There are some downsides to this, as you have to figure out the order of droppers, which can be overwhelming, but overall, shuffling pulls off linear logic quite well. Out of the escape rooms I've visited so far, shuffling is by far my best. Now, I would recommend playing shuffling, if it wasn't so difficult.
This was very winnable
Shuffling
for
is
me.
a hard difficulty.
It
takes experts about 3
wasn't
hours
very
to
smart.
beat. Even though the mechanics of shuffling are simple, logic is decently complex, which makes it not a good first pure logic escape room. If you want an easier logic puzzle to play before shuffling, you can look at the maps Shuffling inspired. As I said before, shuffling is one of the most influential escape rooms, and that's because it created a new genre of logic puzzles, piston shufflers. Taco took the idea of shuffling around blocks with pistons and made his own puzzles around it. He has a whole list of piston shuffler maps ranging from easy to hard. Okay, now that I've talked about shuffling, we can get back to the other most influential escape room I mentioned, Respite Advanced by Cactus. Respite Advanced is all about respawning, and delves into some of the more complex respawn mechanics. You see, whenever you spawn on the highest respawnable block. But if that highest respawnable block is obstructed, you instead spawn on the lowest available block. We call this respawn polarity flip, since you're flipping the direction respawning happens. Respawn polarity flip allows for some very interesting logic, since you can respawn in a room below you, but you have to leave a block behind, and to get back, you have to either block off the bottom room or unflip polarity. You can also exit a fully sealed room by blocking off all available respawn points to respawn on top. Respite Advanced introduced polarity flip, which created a new genre of escape rooms, rebirth style. Respawning is a great puzzle mechanic, because it allows for unique player positioning. If a player has certain items or is in a certain area, they can die and respawn at world spawn. Respawning is a one-way teleport back to a spot, which can be combined with other player positioning mechanics to create very interesting logic. There are also a lot of ways to die, and a lot of different setups where dying is useful in different ways. There's a lot of variance in how respawning can be used, and a lot of limitations on what you need in order for respawning to be used, which makes it one of the best puzzle mechanics in Minecraft. Over the course of 6 months, while I've been focusing on a bunch of different mechanics, Cactus has mainly worked on respawn-focused puzzles, and these are some of the best puzzles in Minecraft. First, he made Repose, Respite, and Respite Advanced, maps that teach respawn mechanics with logic puzzles. Then, with the help of Lentil and Husky, he made the Interlinked Collection, a handful of maps all about combining respawn with another mechanic, co-op. In Minecraft escape rooms, co-op is used less as a way for 2 people to play a puzzle, and more as a puzzle mechanic that can be used to create interesting logic. Because of this, playing co-op maps with 2 people isn't always the best, since if you have people with different logical skill levels, one player can end up doing all the work. So Cactus made a system that allows you to play co-op maps by yourself, having the second player be an armor stand you can swap with. As puzzle mechanics, co-op and respawn work perfectly together, since they're both about player positioning. Co-op also provides a way to die whenever you have 2 players together. One of the best examples of how well Respawn and Co-op work together is Unity by Husky, one of the oldest pure logic escape rooms, and still to this day, one of the best. Unity showed the insane potential of combining respawning with co-op, and this inspired Cactos to combine co-op with his own style of respawn puzzles. Co-op works incredibly well with Respawn Polarity Flip, since if you have 2 players, you can access the blocks in 2 rooms, which makes it possible to change blocks and rooms after you flip polarity. The maps in the Interlink collection use co-op and respawning to their greatest potential, creating some of the best and some of the most difficult puzzles in Minecraft. Just look at Interlude, which was Minecraft's hardest escape room until Cactus made it twice as hard with Intertwine, and then he made it twice as hard again with Interlace, and they made that twice as hard with Interlace 1.1 by changing 3 pieces of bedrock. Yeah, these escape rooms can get insanely difficult, but they have some of the best, most in-depth puzzles out of all escape rooms. These puzzles inspired me to make Respawn-focused puzzles, but since there were a lot of difficult co-op ones, I decided to make easy single-player puzzles to allow new people to learn the mechanics they need for the harder puzzles. I made 3 easy Respawn-focused maps, Reach 1 and 2, and Reacquire, and they're just okay. They do a good job of being easy maps that showcase some Respawn mechanics, but they don't do anything more than that. The logic they have is very simple, which I guess is fine for an easy puzzle, but they don't really have any aha moments or interesting moves. Reach 1 and 2 are both one-room puzzles that showcase simple respawn mechanics. They focus on basic item management and player positioning, and only use Respawn Polarity Flip to exit the room. Reacquire also focuses on basic item management and player positioning, but it does use Polarity Flip to access the room below. These puzzles are all pretty simple. They are my first attempt at making Respawn-focused puzzles, and they have very simple logic. They're all easy difficulty maps, so they're good for beginners, but don't really provide much of a challenge. Each map takes about 5 minutes for an expert to beat. My next escape room also heavily focused on respawning, but not as its main mechanic. There are a few mechanics that I like to classify as room access mechanics. These mechanics are all ways to one-way transport a player, and they work really well when combined. These mechanics are respawning with polarity flip, falling, disconnect clipping, and minecarts. Minecarts are very interesting. They allow one-way access to a room through corners, but there's also quite a few other uses for them, such as climbing ledges and suffocating. By combining the unique uses and room access capabilities of minecarts with the room access of respawning, Husky created Vehicle, a simple puzzle showcasing the potential of minecart logic. In Vehicle, you can enter this room by using a minecart, and exit it through respawning. You need to shuffle items in and out of the room to eventually get to a position where all items can be transferred out. Vehicle is simple and easy, so it's approachable for beginners, and it has some very nice logic. I highly recommend playing it yourself. Vehicle showcased the logical potential of minecarts, and how they can be combined with respawning, which inspired me to make my own minecart-focused map. The basic premise of Minecart Min-Max is the same as Vehicle. You can access 2 rooms with minecarts, but to get out, you need to die. By using these 2 room access mechanics, Minecart Min-Max is able to make the positions of things change the state of the puzzle. By having items in different positions, you're able to die in different positions, which lets you get different items out of the rooms. As the name suggests, Minecart Min-Max has a minimal layout with maximum logic. Every item is used in multiple ways, so despite there being only 4 items, the solution has a good amount of depth. Unlike my previous attempts at respawn-focused puzzles, Minecart Min-Max ended up being very good. It's an easy to medium difficulty map, and takes experts about 30 minutes to beat. It's approachable for beginners, while still having a decent amount of logical depth. Though Minecart Min-Max utilized most minecart mechanics, there were still a few properties left unused. So that's what my next escape room was about. Minecart Maneuver has a similar layout to Minecart Min-Max, but while Minecart Min-Max focuses on item shuffling in general, Minecart Maneuver focuses on one specific move and how you can use item shuffling to achieve that move. It's kind of impossible to talk about that move without spoiling it, so go play this map. How many times do I need to tell you? One aspect of escape rooms I like to talk about with Minecart Maneuver is rules. If you place a block while falling, you can cheese the whole puzzle, so placing blocks while falling is banned. Now, there are 2 different types of rules in escape rooms. The first type is default rules. These are rules that ban glitches and techniques that break nearly every escape room, such as duping, infinite scaling, and one-block crawl. Default rules also ban things like switching versions, modifying world files, and save system abuse. Default rules are fine, there's nothing wrong with them. But the other type of rules can be used very poorly. The second type of rules is banning cheeses. This can be seen in YouTube-style escape rooms as having netherite blocks you're not allowed to break, or being asked to deposit your items. This is bad, because it ignores the limitations of Minecraft. Instead of having a unique way to exit the room, or use up an item, escape rooms just tell you what you can or can't do, which is very frustrating. However, sometimes it's just not possible to work around the limitations of Minecraft, No matter how hard you try, you just can't make a puzzle work without adding rules. And that's when I think banning cheeses is alright. The less rules the better, but adding a rule is better than sacrificing a puzzle. What matters is how enjoyable a puzzle is, not how little rules it uses. So that's why Minecart Maneuver has rules, and pretty much all of my escape rooms do. Anyways, Minecart Maneuver is a medium difficulty map. It takes experts around 30 minutes to beat. Despite having a smaller layout than Minecart Min-Max, its logic is more involved, since you need to figure out a series of moves at once, instead of one move at a time. My next escape room was another Minecart puzzle, but this time I included a third player positioning mechanic, co-op. Yeah, multi-minecart is a co-op map, which means instead of just accessing rooms through corners with minecarts, you can now access a room above you through respawning. Multi-minecart takes the item shuffling logic of Minecart Min-Max and combines it with co-op logic and more advanced respawn logic. Overall, it's a decent puzzle. It's a medium difficulty map and takes experts around an hour to beat. So yeah, those are all the minecart maps I made, and they're all pretty good. I highly recommend playing these maps, especially for beginners, since they're good introductions to logic puzzles. If you want to play them in the order I talked about them. First vehicle, then Minecart Min-Max, then Minecart Maneuver, and finally multi-minecart. Each map builds on the ones before it, adding more logic and interesting moves. Before I talk about my next escape room, let me talk a bit about Lentil, who I've mentioned a few times already. Lentil is another Portal player who joined the Minecraft escape room community, but unlike the others, Lentil doesn't really make escape rooms, he just plays them. Despite that, Lentil has a very good understanding of puzzle design and logic, probably from playing Portal 2 so much. Lentil has a list called Outstanding Escape Rooms, which is basically a list of the best pure logic puzzles in Minecraft. A few of my escape rooms I've talked about are on this list, Shuffling and Minecart Min-Max. But these escape rooms are pretty far down on the list. See, the way Lentil formats the list, the better the escape room, the higher up it is. And first on the list is my next escape room. Shuffling was one of my best escape rooms. It took the simple idea of moving around blocks with pistons and turned that into great logic puzzles. However, even though Shuffling explores a lot of piston shuffling logic, there was still a lot of potential. Taco showed this potential in his piston shuffling maps with different items and ideas, but my mind was still stuck on the simple setup of shuffling. With just pushing around a copper bulb with comparators and a piston, how much logic can be extracted? How complex can the puzzles get? For a while, I kept this idea in the back of my head. Every once in a while, I come up with a puzzle and sketch it on graph paper, and once I had enough, I started piecing them together. This process took even longer, but after a month of work, I was left with this, my masterpiece, my best escape room, cycling. Cycling is amazing. The best way I can describe it is shuffling on steroids. It takes the base idea and format of shuffling and turns it up a notch, resulting in even more complex puzzles. And how cycling does this is through subtlety. Now, subtlety is one of the more difficult puzzle design aspects to understand, so I'll try to simplify the concept as much as I can. I like to view subtlety as the obviousness of a move. If a move is more obvious, it's less subtle, and if it's less obvious, it's more subtle. This is not to be confused with intuitiveness. Intuitiveness is how well you can use the context of the puzzle to figure out the move. How well you can use your items, your limitations, and the layout to figure out the correct move. All good puzzles should be intuitive, while subtlety is the spice you add on top. A subtle move should be something that's hard to figure out because it's hard to see why it's useful, not because it isn't understandable. It's kind of hard to explain subtlety without an example, but I'm also trying my best not to spoil the puzzles. So instead of explaining a puzzle, let me give you one. Here's one of the puzzles in cycling. Your goal is to push the copper bulb away from the wall. You have 1 piston, 5 comparators, and 5 blocks. Alright, good luck. This is a good subtle puzzle, because it's not obvious, but it is intuitive. The situation is understandable, but the move is hard to figure out. Subtlety with intuitiveness is good, but it's very hard to pull off. Cycling literally took a month to make. And if you look at my sketches from that month, I look like I've gone insane. And honestly, I feel like I lucked out with cycling. Sometimes it's just not possible to brute force good subtle puzzles. Unless you're Cactus, in which case you'd change 3 pieces of bedrock and make a puzzle twice as difficult. Anyways, cycling is a great puzzle. You should go play it. But maybe play some easier ones first. Cycling is a hard to expert difficulty map. It takes experts about 4 hours to beat. Now that I'd finally finished cycling, I wanted to move on to some different kinds of piston shufflers. Taco had made Observation, a puzzle about using both a bulb and an observer to shuffle around blocks, which inspired me to focus on observers too. I made 2 small puzzles with the same concept, Observe 1 and 2. Overall, these puzzles are pretty simple. They're just pushing around observers to power droppers. They have some neat logic, especially in number 2, and they're both easy difficulty puzzles, and take experts about 30 minutes to beat. My next escape room is much more interesting, since it's my first actually good respawn-focused puzzle. Do you remember that one crafting puzzle I talked about a while ago? Inner Seed is basically that, but incorporated with advanced respawn and co-op logic. The main move is crafting 3 planks into slabs, which is difficult because to do that, you need all the items in one room. But to get down into the lower room, you need to leave a block at the top to flip polarity. Inner Seed is all about the positions of things, the positions of players and the positions of items, and through that, it manages to include some very nice moves. Overall, Inner Seed combines a crafting puzzle with player positioning logic very well, and it manages to do this while only having 4 blocks. Despite the minimal elements, Inner Seed is rather complex. It's a hard difficulty map and takes experts 1 to 2 hours to beat. In my next escape room, I went back to mechanics. Pure logic puzzles are objectively better, but mechanical puzzles can be fun to mess around with every once in a while. The mechanic I chose to mess around with this time was Path Upwarp. Path of Trident is a small, simple puzzle about using Path Upwarp to move a trident of a wall and power a pressure plate. It's not even a puzzle really, just a neat use of Path Upwarp. Path of Trident is an easy to medium map and takes experts about 10 minutes to beat. For my next escape room, I had a very interesting idea. Thinking outside the box. Literally. Bottle Stopper is all about escaping this box, which is pretty easy for one player to do. You just get and crawl under the ceiling and disconnect clip with the trapdoor. The problem is getting the second player out. There's nothing you can do while in the box to get both players out. So that's where thinking outside the box comes into play. You first need to get one player out, who can then do stuff outside the box to get the second player out. Bottle Stopper is a hard difficulty map, taking experts around an hour to beat. It involves some more advanced respawn techniques, and even introduces a new one, bottle stopping. Putting a block on top of an escape room to stop the bottle, letting you respawn on top without having to fill the bottle up. If you don't understand respawn mechanics, what I just said probably sounded like nonsense, in which case you should play my next map, Placement. Placement is both an introduction to advanced respawn mechanics and a really nice puzzle at the same time. The basic concept of placement is there are 3 platforms, and you need to use the placement of blocks and respawning to progress to the platforms above you. It's super simple, only giving you 3 items, which makes it easy to mess around and intuitively figure out the mechanics. It's able to teach advanced respawn mechanics, such as polarity flip and bottle stopping, while never being overwhelming. Placement is an easy to medium difficulty map, and takes experts about 5 minutes to beat. It's simple enough to be solvable by a beginner, but still provides a good challenge. My next and final escape room is also a respawn-focused map, Respawn Min-Max. Respawn Min-Max has the same general concept as Minecart Min-Max, shuffling around items using room access mechanics, but this time I focus solely on respawning. Respawn Min-Max is comprised of 2 1x1 rooms, in which you need to use respawning and polarity flip along with keep inventory to shuffle around items. It tries to maximize item shuffling while having minimal elements and layout, and it does a pretty good job. Every item is used in multiple ways, and the solution is quite elegant. Respawn Min-Max is a medium difficulty map. It takes experts about 30 minutes to beat. So, we're finally done. Those are all the escape rooms I've made, and how my puzzle design has developed over time. If any of these maps piqued your interest, go play them. There are links to download them in the description and pinned comment. Also, my escape rooms aren't the only good ones. There's a whole forum of escape rooms in the Escape Room Discord server, and a list of recommended puzzles that have maps from all the best creators. If you want to actually get into Minecraft escape rooms and play more than just a few maps, this list is where you should start. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about with this video. Share my opinions on escape room content, how it's affected escape rooms, how we've grown out of it, and how we've made good puzzles in Minecraft. It would be nice if YouTube escape rooms had actually good puzzle design, but I don't think this video will change that. The point of this video isn't to criticize escape room content. Minecraft mechanics will remain entertaining, while logic puzzles won't. Most good puzzles are too complex to enjoy watching someone else play them. Good Minecraft escape rooms aren't meant to be viewed, they're meant to be played. That's the point of this video, to get people to play my puzzles, to share my passion with you, and get more people interested in making good puzzles in Minecraft. And who knows, maybe we'll get another Cactus, another Husky, someone new who will revolutionize the way we make puzzles, and create a new era of Minecraft escape rooms. Thank you.
Because it was blue, it's the same color. I fucked it. It's only the meme decks, dude. The wheel is actually rigged. The wheel is freaking rigged. I'm switching to a different wheel next time. Where's Sky Striker? This is the gameplay loop Mathmech players want? Yeah, I mean, Mathmech players see nothing wrong with activating one card and your opponent scooping every time. Toxic Rain and King Engmroth, thank you for the subs, appreciate you guys, thank you. Marco is also thinking for the prime early. I mean, this hand is a banger, I think. Good hand. This deck is also fine at dealing with war. It's not that bad because of what's it called? Chris with the gifts up makes us hit the sub goal. What is it? What is it, Chris? What do we play after this game? We spin or do we pick? Okay. Because of Hamp. Yeah, Hamp is gonna be good. The thing is, Hamp basically forces them, because the weird thing about Hamp is that it requires a Sky Striker card on the board, which is awkward. Which means they can just spin with the Noir all the Sky Striker cards, but at least it forces them to discard a Max C for just memory, that's there. That means they have another one, right? Surely. This hand is good. Their hand is also pretty good. I am not going to lie. Especially if they play, what's it called? Especially if they play Ghost Tricks. They discarded Maxi and Droll and Lockbird. I'm scared, dude. Did Mom pick me up, please? And they hit with Early Man. I'm I'll take any bet in the world that the last card in hand is a Maxi. Like, there's no way you pitch Maxi and Droll before that. It has to be Maxi. Oh no, they play it too, man. They're a madman. Good lord, man. Can I draw evenly? One time? Like, asking for a friend? This deck plays evenly. Three of them things. And even Thrust would work.
I don't know why, but I really had this urge to play Ryzeal before doing my assignments, so...
It'd actually be insane if I drew even, you know? Evenly and I cooked them alive. Renovacion. They have enough to go for... they don't have any more... They have one more early quick play spell. What's their hand? 2 shots and Renovation and Maxi. No, they have the trap card. Wait, what? It's 1 shot, Renovation, Maxi, and yeah, they only have 1 shot, 1 opportunity. 1 Maxi. Sees everything they ever wanted. Wait, they have another memory? I'm confused. Whatever, man. They don't have Maxi in hand? Where did the last card in their hand go? Where did the last card in their hand go? My god. So the hand right now is... Ghost Trick Shot? I didn't pay attention, I'm confused. It's whatever. They have the Pearly Trap now, and the
Of course. Ooh.
And the Ghost Trick Shot in hand, right? Probably Trap and Ghost Trick Shot.
Wait,
in
what?
Hand.
They're a blind going second deck?
What, you don't
Okay.
even need the Pearly Trap, just get rid of it, bro. Oh. They have double Noir anyways? Bro, I need this evenly matched in my life right now. Oh my god, dude.
I did not know this.
One time, dude. Please. I even have 2 draws for it.
At least I didn't draw any of them up
Works, man. Thrust also works because they're gonna draw in my standby phase. The odds are actually so good, man. I can even, like, if I draw a bunch of spells, I can even go, like, engage, draw it later. Oh, this is the one deck that can actually beat this opener because it has even beat. The one deck that can actually beat this shit. How many cards do they draw in my standby? 1. I guess they could set the trap and not rack up yet, so that they can draw 2 cards. It's even me. These okay, they don't. That's nice. Oh, they draw 2. Right, they could have drawn 4 cards if they kept that. They said that. Not made the rank fighter. Please, man! That works. Oh god, that works! Yes! Gimme. Hello. It is me, the evenly man. You draw, they do draw. Okay. Hello. Hello. End of battle. I shuffle in my spell actually. Giga 5 hit. Okay, that's annoying. I don't like you for that. Alright, it's still a 7 material noir, by the way, that we have to deal with, but... So, Upstart Goblin. Yeah. That's kind of annoying. If I set ported drones and then I activate engage, that is respelled, right? Graveyard? Yeah, that's probably it, right? Probably. I can also do it on thrust. Yeah, I can just do it on thrust. Thrust is taking first right now, then. I do play ham, yeah. No. Oh. I just use it? I know that makes this not go through, but this is still a weird thing to do. I chain one of drones? There's no reason to. I don't think.
Well,
like, I could
that's
chain
my
one of
fault, I
drones to
suppose.
make this go through, but not really necessary. It's the same as just letting it resolve and then activating Hornet drones, is what I'm saying. Like I get a Sky Striker link out of it anyways. Like I can just activate Hornet drones now, and if they don't want to spin again, then it's the same outcome. They can shuffle back the token. Well, let him shuffle back the token, then the thing is affected. I don't care about that. I want to bait more. I want to make it effective. Yeah, that's not very good. Now I don't even need to have the shit. Is there a link too I can? Or trying to think if I should change a part. If I change a part I have to like normal summon Maxi, clear my main monster zone. I make dark. Yeah, that's good. Wait, that has to be good. Okay. play Zeus. I can technically play Zeus as well. I could just attack them. Oh no, it's main phase 2. Never mind. No, but my other plan is better anyways. I'm gonna normal summon Maxi. I'm gonna make Dark. I'm gonna activate Engage. Hello. Sorry.
Oh, that's the thing.
Engage locks you do. But no, man! I didn't think it did that if it didn't resolve properly! Oh! I thought it wasn't. Oh, no, man. I didn't know it did that. I did not know it did that, man! Oh. That's 5, man! I didn't know it did that! Oh. Oh, I did not know it blocked you even if it didn't summon. Oh, it's because it's worded the wrong way around. That's actually supposed to. Is there a world we fight this? Or it's already. Oh god, that's so dumb. I mean, they are very low on resources. They can't kill me, depends on their draws. They have the Pearly Trap in hand. They can summon once more to recycle all of their shit. Yeah. Oh, Azalea? Well, Maxi is a dark, it's not a dark, unfortunately, or a light. They hit Delicious Memory, I die. Only one. I deserve that. I deserve that. Oh man! That game was a win. I drew.
No, Sonic the Hedgehog can be a pretty divisive series, to put it lightly.
Stop hating on Sonic!
Some people love it, some crazy people hate it. But if there were a narrative around the series that plagued online discussion for the longest time, it would have to be that the Sonic franchise started to go downhill the second they made the jump to 3D. Of course, we as a society have begun to move past this nonsense. Sonic Adventure is a great game. Dated as all hell, but Sonic's first string of 3D outings were highly praised at the time of release, as well as being massive commercial successes. Yet for some reason, that narrative online always seemed to be about how perfectly simple the 2D entries were, how brilliantly all their mechanics came into place to create a set of some of the best platforms ever developed. But when Sonic went to the scary third dimension, this simplicity was lost. The basic, easy-to-pick-up and play control scheme has been made infinitely more complex when taking the added access into account. The games were too fast. Sonic had become impossible to control without careening off the side of the stage. Bottomless pits became the player's biggest enemy over, well, the actual enemies. What were they thinking? No, this isn't a video about Sonic's jump to the third dimension, or whether or not you can justify these criticisms. Not fully, at least. Instead, I wanted to talk about something I've noticed for years, which led to a question I've had in the back of my mind.
I was gonna say,
for the
am I
longest
about to
time.
lose to fucking
I can never really
ancient
figure
deer
out the answer to
golems
it.
by
At
the
least not
stupid
until
fucking
today.
teacher
And
guy?
that question is, why are people so bad at Sonic games?